Hey, hey, you guys. What's up, YouTube? It's been a while since I've done a solo recap on here. So I'm doing Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, season 3, episode 8, that just aired not last week because they took Thanksgiving off, but the week before that to get to get you amped for tonight's episode, even though on YouTube this probably won't be out until anyways. I'm just putting this out just to keep me warmed up. It's like a machine. You gotta recap every day, or you lose the recapping skill. So this is part of a larger podcast called So Bad It's Good, that is iHeartRadio and Cloud 10 Productions. And what you're missing is Frank Catania, which I think there should be a YouTube video for as well. And I did some pop culture stories. And so that is before on the audio version of this. And then over here on you're watching right now, it's like the Salt Lake recap. So I'm just going to hit record over on my GarageBand and we're going to start this recap. Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, Frank Catania, amazing. What a I mean, I tried to really, you can just tell I tried to bro out, and my white whale I think is turning in. I might need Joey Gorga. I need to speak to Joey Gorga. I think it's time. I think I'm ready. I've read the Gorga Guide to Success. I have his book, which only came out in paperback, by the way. I should show you. Where's my Bethany Frankel book I just got? I told you guys this the other day. I found at a used bookstore a copy of Bethany Frankel's 2011 book, A Place of Yes, and truly powerful stuff. It's like that, the Bible. The Bible, both really good reads. This is Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, season 3, episode 8, originally aired on November 16th of the year of our Lord 2022. And I got to tell you, this isn't a good episode. This really, really pissed me off having to rewatch to like back up. I like Laura Beth Harp helped take the first half of these notes, and I had to watch to go over her notes, and then I had to take the rest of the notes. And I got to tell you, this was one of the least exciting episodes and potentially offensively fake in some moments. And I thought they were building in such a weird, good, kind of unique way with the Whitney stuff, trying to stand up for herself with Heather. And then, of course, the Lisa Barlow stuff, and Lisa Barlow and Meredith both accusing each other of being whores. And I mean, so much good stuff. And then this episode, I feel like they just just farted into a trash can and just like did nothing. I'm like, why? I'm like, I'm going to recap this. Are you kidding me? It's like men sitting together eating barbecue, trying to like tell each other their feelings and not really being able to, of like, I don't know why your wife said that about my wife. And then John Barlow going, I don't know either. Like, it's so awkward. But let's get into this. This is not, listen, I almost say just listen to this recap. You don't even need to go back and watch it. And why would you? There's a new episode tonight. Hopefully we'll get them back on track, because the teaser for the second half of the season looks great. I mean, we got to find out how Heather Gay gets that black eye. This is called RSV Please. RSVP, get it? RSV Please. Love it. Loving what they did there with the play on P with please. And this is what the cable company description gives you. Jen, Lisa, and Whitney unite like the Avengers to address their issues with Heather, but only Lisa finds common ground with Heather. Meredith copes with past family trauma. The husbands meet up for a BBQ. By the way, why the husband? You got to, Meredith copes with past family trauma should be the closer there. The husbands meet up for a BBQ is the closing sentence. No. Previously on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, we see Lisa and Jen skiing on the Heather's ski day a few episodes ago. This skiing, man, you guys, it's like, we get it. Utah has snow. I also just get upset because Winter House has skiing, Salt Lake has skiing. I was watching an old Anthony Bourdain No Reservations episode where he went to Japan. He was skiing, and I just get pissed off because every time I watch a skiing episode, it's like when rain comes, I feel it in my knees, and you're just like, I'll never be able to ski again unless I can afford some kind of knee operation. We see Lisa going, this is kind of isn't my thing. Sorry, guys, I'm got to get warmed up into the imitations. We also have Heather Gay discussing her choir. She has done Housewives feat, and her special talent this year is going to be hearkening back to her days of yore, singing with a choir, singing songs of our Lord. And Heather says, I'm missing feeling, the presence of God in my life. This trailer also shows next we see Meredith and Seth at dinner with Angie H and Chris. And Angie H is like, Chris got really frustrated because he felt like I was being attacked in the media. And then Chris is like, please judge me later, but I created a fake account as grown men do. It happens. And I love it. Seth in that scene was like, yeah, of course, buddy. Of course. We've all been there. We've all created fake Instagram accounts, buddy. Jen then at another scene we see confronts Angie at the choir auditions. These choir auditions, there was only 10 people there and it was like so drama filled. And that's the tension of auditions. It just ramps everything up. Everybody's so nervous. Jen's like, you need to take some accountability because he did it. Chris. But I love when Jen Shaw says accountability with just, it's just wickedly funny in so many ways when she yells at somebody about taking accountability. We go back to the women sitting together inside after the auditions of the choir, and Heather's like, you said you're my friend, that you cared about me, and then you went on social media and showed exactly the opposite. So you were fake. And Lisa Barlow's like, I told the truth. If you don't like the truth, don't ask for it. Because listen, I can't even defend Lisa on this. She technically was right, but she, got called out. Heather said she didn't check in on her dad when her dad had passed away, and Lisa had text to prove that she did. But Heather's thing was, we were like all like around him. He was in hospice, and he was like, he died like the next day. So technically, you're right. But why did you post those? Did you post our private text on Twitter? But it's a very Lisa Barlow thing to do because Lisa Barlow does not lose. And I appreciate somebody that doesn't want to lose, but legally, like, I like that she's still playing within the rules of like, yo, I told the truth. Here is the proof. This is the shit I want to see from Jen Shaw. Of like, I keep saying I'm innocent. I tell everybody that. Here is the proof. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least we get that with Lisa Barlow. So we open up on Lisa's house and Jack's like, what's up, guys? And Lisa's like, hey, Jack. And Jack's like, what are you guys doing? And Henry's like, origami. Of course. When are kids not doing origami? And John is like, are you guys going to be hungry soon? I'll start getting stuff ready, which I thought meant that for them, it was just like, let's all get in the car to go to Taco Bell and Wendy's and all that stuff. And Lisa's like, I'm hungry. I'm always hungry though. And John's like, what are you guys making? And Lisa's like, I don't know, but Henry's good at telling me I suck at it. And John's like, oh. And Henry's like flipping through a book and it's like a Bible, you guys. And Lisa's like, oh, you got new scriptures, Henry. These have your name on them. Do you see? Okay, we got to ease back into it. But I want to get back to like what we're doing. Like, we're doing scripture study, Bible study together at least once a week. Heather, I auditioned for Heather's choir because that's her way of feeling connected to church still, because that's like something she enjoyed with it. By watching her, like, I feel more compelled to gravitate the other way because it makes me miss some of the things I've felt more connected to. So now her sons have to get Bibles with their, scriptures with their name on it and stuff. I've been there. I remember my mom. Speaking of Christmas, I remember one Christmas when I got a Bible from my mom, and dude, God, I hope we're good. There's, the Bible when you're like 11 years old, you're looking more for like the Batman. I'm still at this age looking for the Batman comics, that kind of thing. But the Bible was not like high up on the Christmas gift list, but it's that gift where you're like, oh, cool, the Bible, it's like leather bound and has your name. I still have that Bible. And I should crack it once in a while. Anyways, Lisa in a confessional goes, I'm not super proud of like the example I've set for Jack and Henry, just in Diet Coke alone. Like, I know I'm spiritual, but I think it's important that my kids see me make the effort to get up and go to church with them on Sunday. Like, it's course correction for me. And I think this is my way of acknowledging that, like, I messed up. And Jack, the older son that was like, fudge college, mom, fudge college. I love fudge college. I think that is so funny. I just think that is fudge college. Like, we shouldn't be saying the F-U-C-K word. We should be saying fudge. And Jack's got it right. We've got it wrong. Jack's like, I think the great thing about religion, Mom, is everyone can do it a different way. There isn't one set way to do it. And Lisa's like, yeah, exactly. And John's like, yeah, that's what your mom always says. And Lisa's like the world is crazy. You guys have to have like a really good core. And I think if your core is focused on God, your life will be a little easier. And John's like, I actually think meditation is a way of praying. And you don't necessarily, you don't have to be saying words or speaking words, in your mind, verbally, like what Jack's doing right now. And the camera pans over to Jack and he's just sitting there with his eyes closed. And I think he's just being like a teen, like an angsty youth. And Lisa goes, yeah, Jack's dreaming. And Henry, the younger son's like, yeah, Jack's just daydreaming about women. And Lisa and John laugh like, ha, 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 ha. And John's like, yeah, probably. And then Jack opens his eyes and goes, it's not wrong. He's not wrong. Which is like gross because Jack's getting to that age where you're thinking about other people's body parts. I don't need to explain that. This family show. Anyways, we're now at Snow Basin Resort for another painful skiing scene. We see Whitney walking up with her skis and Lisa's why is Lisa and Whitney constantly doing activities together? Lisa's already said she doesn't like to do activities, yet we keep putting Lisa through like a flipping boot camp every episode. Lisa's putting on her ski boots and Lisa's like, hey, Whitney, are you ready to do this? And Whitney's like, are you ready? And Lisa's like, I'm going to be like on the bunny hill. You going to hang with me? No, I'm taking you up, girl. Oh, I can see Jen. Jen walks up in like literally the ridiculous, like this gold puffer jacket and gold in her braids. Like you're just imagining like this is actually real gold stolen from the elderly. And Jen's like, I know I blend in. And when he's like, look at you. And Lisa's like, oh my gosh, I love your braid. Gold jacket, gold braids. And when he's like, ready? And Lisa's like, yeah, let's go. And they get on the ski lift. They're all doing that. They're like pretty. And like, how high are we going to go? We're going to go to the top, blah, blah, blah. Whitney in a confessional is like, we live in Utah. Utah is known for having some of the best snow in the world. The slopes are right in our backyard. So it's time that Jen and Lisa really step up their game and stop fucking around on the bunny hill. And Whitney tells him, you'll see, it seems intimidating, but you can take any way down. And Lisa's like the gondola down. And then they all laugh. Ha, 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 ha. Whitney's like, nope, you're going down on your sticks. And Lisa goes, see you at the bottom. Whitney in a confessional goes, there's no more little girls around here. Okay. We're going to the big girl hill. And that's like, a Mary Cosby, which episodes like this, you really miss Mary Cosby. I would kill for a Mary Cosby talking to one of her mannequins in her closet episode. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's like a Pulitzer Prize winning episode compared to this. We see Whitney helping Jen get her helmet over her braids, which takes a majority of the episode. Then a montage of the ladies scene. I can't ski at all. Whitney kills it. Whitney's like, party on the mountain. Lisa falls. Jen, you're just like, they're not going to have skiing in prison. This is useless. Jen in a confessional goes, the last few years, my skiing skills have vastly improved. They've gotten a lot better. I attribute that to hard work, dedication, and taking money from the elderly. No, just kidding. Taking my anti-anxiety pills. That's the winning combination. Less stealing, too. And then she falls down. Then we see everybody giggle, and everybody's like playing with their ski goggles. And Whitney's like, I haven't seen you since audition day for Heather's choir. Lisa's like, how did your audition go? And Whitney goes, well, apparently I made it. And Lisa goes, so did I. Flashback to one day earlier, Heather's on the phone with Lisa. And Heather's like, honestly, Lisa, you were one of the very best singers of the day. And then we see Heather on the phone with Whitney is like, I would love if you would be willing to sing soprano in this little choir. And Whitney's like, and Whitney explains to the other ladies, the last time I saw her, she physically she manhandled me out of her house with the Lisa stuff. Her tweet, I challenged Heather. I said, well, have you ever considered Lisa's side of it? And she physically grabs me, turns me around and pushes me to her front door. And we get a flashback of that. I truly now long for these scenes when Heather Gay just really manhandles somebody in the cast, and she just seems like she like picks them up like they're just bad, like pillows, like a Craig Conover pillow, and just like moves them and slams the door. And Lisa goes, "Is that unreal?" Like Jen in the confessional goes, "I'm surprised Whitney defended Lisa to Heather, but I find her reaction completely out of character for her. This does not sound like the Heather I know, where I'm wondering like, what's going on with Heather?" And I just love it's once again that scene of Jen, like the audacity of Jen being able to question, like, what's going on with this Heather? Why is she being so weird lately? I'm like, Jen, like, it's just wild. It's like by some magic power, she never gets questioned for anything she really does. The new girl, Dana, finally gets into it with her a little bit. And Jen, within the first sentence, like flips a creates such a drama scene at the finale of the episode that you're like, this is why people leave her alone, because she yells so loud so quickly that you're scared to call her out on shit. And Lisa's like, all of this stuff is a house of cards built on lies, which is hysterical to say around Jen Shaw. Like we're on the wrong people. We're talking about Heather here, and we've got an official proven liar, an actual liar here on the mountain that we could go to. And she goes, and if one of those cards moves, it's all going to crumble. That's why she's like upset with you, and upset with me, because we're like saying, hey, that's not the truth. And Jen's like, I talked to her about what Chris had done and Angie with that Instagram account, and she was genuinely upset by it. That's how she received information in the moment. And I'm like, so confused, because we go to the audition. Now, why don't you say anything to Angie Harrington? I feel like whenever we're in a group setting, Heather just kind of sits, steps back, and they all look ridiculous. And when he's like, I keep showing up for Heather, I feel, and it's kind of like a pathetic feeling. I feel like I chase her down. Like, I feel like I'm always constantly the one that's like, are we good? Like, hey, I just shared with you that I've had all this past trauma that I'm working through. And I'm trying to explain to you that in the past, when I have stirred the pot or been messy, it's because that's where I naturally that's how I learned to behave, right? That's why I got attention. And I'm like trying to tell her, like, I'm trying to break the pattern. Like, I don't want to be that person, right? And I'm telling her that I'm going through all this pain and trauma. She never once picked up the phone after Phoenix to call me. By the way, this is actually very interesting for Whitney. Like, this is somebody that's truly trying to question their own behavior. And that's why I say she's kind of in that, not spiral, but when that, when you're really trying to do hard, heavy work on yourself mentally, she's like in there, she's doing the work, she's seeing all the psychics and the therapists and all the people like just reading energies. So there's a lot going through Whitney's head at any given moment. And I just, but she's also upset that her friend Heather is not checking in on her on any of this stuff. And Jen's like, I don't like living in the space of ambiguity. I would rather be like, hey, I'm not okay with this. I'm hurt. We need to talk about stuff. We come back from commercial break, and we are now at Jen and Coach Shaw's house. And there is a caterer in there just preparing the hell out of some brisket and BBQ chicken. And this is a guy's scene, you guys. This is like, hey, we're going to take on those Real Housewives of New Jersey men, and they fail miserably. This is one of the weirdest, but like if you like shows like The Office, this is your scene, man. This is like, Seth is like starting to become like a weird version of Michael Scott to me, where he's just like, hey, what's going on, pal? I love titties. What's going on there, guy? Like, I want to come here, of course. Like, it's just so, and it's only pales in comparison to how awkward John can be. And like, they're all likable guys, but it's just, I hope they're having fun. We see Seth's like, Coach, and Coach Shaw's like, yeah, and they hug, and Seth's like, bring the South to your mouth, hey-oh. And Coach is like, you understand me. Coach Shaw in a confessional goes, it's barbecue time. It's the no wife zone. And I was like, you're going to be in the no wife zone for a pretty, maybe have the wife zone. Like, let's not have the no wife zone until there is Ain't no wife zone set up. Seth in the confessional goes, I think it's great that Coach is hosting a barbecue, getting the guys together, understand what's going on with Coach and Jen. And then I see how we can be supportive. I cannot even comprehend what he's going through. So that I love that he was proactive in doing that. This is just what the doctor ordered right now. Seth's talking head is wild, you guys. He's all in gray and he has this like insane spray tan on. We see Justin come in, as well as Dana's husband, Ernesto, Angie K's husband, Sean. John Barlow arrives last, and we see all the men sit down at the table. Angie K's husband is wearing a hat that says boss. Coach Shaw says, we got the crew. We got the crew. This is the kind of male camaraderie I've been looking for my entire life. John and Seth hug, and Seth's like, we got to get some time. Just me and you, finally. And John's like, oh, really? Oh, okay. All right. John in the confessional goes, I think it's a good idea for he and I to talk. There's more to talk about than just what Lisa said. I think there's a lot of things to straighten out. Coach Shaw says a blessing over the food, a very let's bow our heads in grace. Thank you for our friends, and let us grow together and protect our families and have faith in things we don't understand. In God's name, amen. And the chef's like, dig in. And Seth is like, how much time do we have to sit in silence and eat this food, huh? It's just very awkward. I can imagine the crew was like, are we having strokes? Like, there's nothing happening. Coach Shaw in a confessional is like, when our wives are crazy, we need to remember that, listen, not everything has to bleed into our relationships. Let's just eat. Let's laugh a little bit without our wives waiting or hanging in the distance. No wives invited. They're all eating. And then guess what? Jen walks in right on cue and goes, hey, the strippers are here. And the men all laugh. And Coach Shaw's like, we got to get her out of here right now. I'm going to come give her a hug. I love you, baby. Okay. And she, by the way, looks very different without all the makeup on. And Jen goes, okay, I'll see you later. Coach Shaw's like, love you, baby. And Jen leaves. It's silent as the men continue to do man things like eat meat. And Justin in a confessional, Whitney's dude, is like, I definitely feel the tension between Seth and John right now. And I'm actually surprised because I thought we had a guy code that meant we leave that behind when we get together. Guy code is truly incredible. Guy code. I love it. I thought we had a guy code that meant we leave that behind when we get together. I love the rules that we men associate with ourselves. I thought we had a bro code, man. Also, I love that Justin can feel that like there's definite tension because I couldn't feel it. I didn't think anything was happening. I was like, this is really boring. I didn't know there was tension. In fact, I feel like we're being led into believing there is this tension when John just seems kind of just like looking around all the time. Coach Shaw's like, I got to have my guy do this demonstration on the meat. Come on, let's make our way to the counter. I don't know why, like all of a sudden there's a cooking show. And, they're rubbing the meat. The chef's rubbing the meat and they try to do a joke about all the guys drooling over the meat, and Seth has a confessional where he's drooling, he's like, "Ooh, it's getting hot in here with this meat," and he's drinking water. And I'm like, we don't need to let's respect ourselves. Come on. Coach Shaw says, "How are the boys? They good?" And John's like, "Yeah, they're good. He's almost as tall as me." I felt like he was about to say, Jack's getting pubes. he's almost as tall as me. Seth walks up and Coach Shaw goes, "Seth." And Seth's like, dude, this is great. Thank you for having us, which is just so weird because we're like all 5 feet away from each other. Why are we saying hi again? And Coach Shaw's like, man, brother, thank you. Seth to John goes, I would love to talk to you just to get some shit out. And John goes, yeah, I'm happy to. Coach Shaw goes, do it, man. Do it. And John's like, yeah. And Coach Shaw goes, no, do it. That's why we're here, to visit a little bit. Go. And Seth's like, thank you. And Coach Shaw escapes this awkwardness. John and Seth walk out to the back porch and Seth goes, it's beautiful out, actually. Very nice. And John's like, yeah, it's not so bad in the sun. It's very nice. Yeah. Awkward silence and pause again. I feel like this is actually how they live their life, though, just in awkward pauses. And Seth's like, I just like how, I don't know. I've never had a situation like this where I have a friend whose wife went crazy on my wife. And John goes, uh-huh. Okay. John's like, well, get used to it. And so it's like, when you see Meredith, I know you guys didn't talk to each other at the party. I don't know if you were trying to avoid her. And she's talking about the first episode at Coach Shaw's birthday party. And John goes, no, I didn't. I was kind of in my own zone there. I like John. I truly believe John is in his own zone. And Seth nods. And Seth goes, how would you feel if Meredith said, Lisa Barlow's a garbage whore? Fuck her family. She's a piece of shit. Her husband can't keep a job. And John goes, when they were in Arizona, your wife brought up rumors that Lisa cheated on me just out of the blue. And so I don't know. I don't think anybody can walk around and say that they've never done anything dumb that they regret and ask for forgiveness. This is John trying. He's at a 10 in this scene, and he's still at a 2 in most, like, to normal people. Like, this is him worked up, and there's barely a pulse. And so that's like, I think it's more constructive when you have qualms with somebody to actually say it to their face rather than behind their back. And John goes, yeah, again, your wife brought up rumors that Lisa cheated on me. I agree with you as far as communicating. That is the best thing. I know there are times that she tried to communicate with Meredith, and Meredith was like, I don't have time for this. This is all still so calm. And the other men are watching this outside the window, and usually they're expecting some kind of action. And it's just like, this is like, dun, 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 dun. There's like, the BPM is so slow here. Justin, like, I just keep looking at them. I just want to make sure there's no fist flying or anything. I'm like, Justin, if there was a fist flying, it just means like somebody was like sneezing. Like, there's no hand. Like, you do not have to worry. There is no signs of any kind of physicality coming at all. And Coach Shaw's like, hey, listen, guys, bros, this was a conversation that needs to happen. Let them have this. And we got back outside to the boring guy. And John's like, I value you, Seth, your friendship, everything. And Seth's like, likewise, man. Like, that's why this is so fucking hard, when you fucking love a dude, And John's like, no, I agree. And Seth's like, come on, let's go. Because I know you're going to, and then you walk back into the place, and the guys kind of half clap for him. And Coach Shaw's like, listen, here's what I want to know. One question. Are we better? And it just, I don't know. I was like, are they asking me? I don't. And Seth's like, kind of nods. Yeah. And Coach says, like, better than what we were before we walked out. And Seth goes, yes, sir. And Coach Shaw is like, well, then that's all that matters. And Seth's like, how are you doing, man? The shit you're going through with your family right now? And Coach is like, man, well, I believe that God never makes mistakes, never. So, God convicted my wife. No, he's kind of like, God never makes mistake. And so I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. And he says, some days it's so painful. Some day that's hard. And I cry because I can't control the outcome. I can't fix it. I can't do what most men want to do for their wives and making it better. So I can't do that. And some days I feel absolutely helpless. And Coach starts to cry, you guys. And Seth's like, Coach, we're all here for you. We're your family. And Seth reaches across the table and grabs Coach Shaw's hand. Justin and the other husbands put their hands on Coach Shaw's back. And Coach Shaw's like, thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you so much. You say how I'm getting through it. This right here, this will last me. This will fortify my spirit. It'll be okay. I'll be good. Also, any of you guys have cash? You have any cash money on you? No. And Justin's like, well, I'm going to throw in here something that probably doesn't need to be here right now. My life transition this week as well. So I stepped away or parted ways would probably be a better way to say it with the company I've been working with for 7 years. Life throws some interesting things at you, and they all like, yeah. Oh, they're like manly grunting. And Coach Shaw's like, it does, doesn't it? And Justin's like, and it's really how you react to that. And Coach is like, and it's something that I told my wife every day. I said, baby, I don't know what's going to happen 2 minutes from now. I just know how I'm going to react to it. God, I'm not flinching. Okay. So now what? And then Coach Shaw gets stricken by a bolt of lightning, right? No, this is very interesting. Kanye West said something just like this on a podcast the other day. And I was just like, you know what, maybe flinch sometimes. If God's sending you this intensive signals where the law is involved, maybe flinch, do a little flinching. Just make sure you're alive, just flinch. I would say the same thing to Seth and John. Flinch. maybe move a little bit. We're very stagnant. And Justin's like, I feel like we're in therapy. And then all the men laugh. And John's like, I know it is therapy. We come back to Meredith's house, and Meredith is with Myra, who is her sister, and her niece and nephew, Lily and Alex. And this is Alex, this is just, is her nephew that had the mental issues, and Meredith is throwing an event for him, and I think it's great. But this scene is very weird too, because Alex is like, "What are you doing, Auntie?" And Meredith's like, "I thought we'd make a little snack, a little white bean salad." That's not a fucking snack. That's a bunch of bowl of disgusting. A little white bean salad. Why not just slap me in the face and send me outside in the freezing cold? I don't want a white bean salad as a snack. Do you have any Doritos? Anyways, they're helping, and Meredith's like, you're actually making more of a mess than helping. You scoot. Myra, the sister, kind of talks exactly like Meredith, and Myra's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And Meredith's like, "Making a little white bean salad," and Myra's like, "That sounds good." And Meredith's like, "So guys, tell me what's going on." And Alex is traveling a lot for college tours, and it seems like he's in a much better place. And Meredith is like, "It's different, Myra. We're on the older side of things now than these kids right here." And Meredith in a confessional says, Myra is her sister. She lives in Chicago, but we're very, very close. And we see pics of them younger and older. And she says, like any close relationship, we have certainly had our ups and downs. We did have a little bit of a rough time last winter with everything that was going on with my father and my nephew. We flash back to the reunion where Meredith is like, we didn't even have a place to bury him. It was all of, these health issues, and then the mental breakdown that my nephew had. As she says, with her sister, it was hard for them to see eye to eye to fulfill the different needs we needed for closure, but we're in a great place again. That's a good thing about family, is that they're always family, and there's always a chance of reconciliation, hopefully, with family. And Meredith's like, "I'm getting really excited about our event." And Alex is like, "I am too, Auntie." And Myra's like, "Oh, me too. I'm so excited." And Alex is like, "It's going to be amazing." And Myra, I don't know. Everybody's excited about the event. Anyway, Meredith is finally like, to the kids, she's like, "Well, I want to hear all about that from you, Myra, about the event. Will you guys run this up to Unky for me, please?" She fucking said Unky. Is Unky Seth? Uncle Seth? "Hey, I'd like for you to call me Unky, kids. Unky Seth." Unky? Like, first the white bean salad, and now we're calling Uncle Unky? I'm out, baby. Like, no, Unky. No, my stomach. It was like, I'd rather go back to the men eating barbecue. Unky? No, Unky. Uncle. Well, Uncle, or let's just call him Mr. Seth. Like, I don't need Unky. I don't need to hear Unky. Unky sounds like a foot disorder. It's not good. Anyways, they start talking, and Myra says, "Seriously, I'm so excited to do this with you, this event. Our family has been through a lot the last year with everything that happened with Alex. It's almost like this celebration of where he is in his life." And which, by the way, I think fucking good for Alex, man. If he has made it through this challenge, mental health is just nothing to be like, I struggle with it. You guys all probably struggle with it as well. Meredith in a confessional goes, with Alex, it's been a long journey. Over the years, there were a variety of just little signs that, he was not happy, that he was struggling in different ways. He went to multiple facilities for mental health, for drug addiction. And it just didn't seem to be getting much better. And Meredith starts to cry right here. And I did not, in any sort of imagination, imagine what she was about to say. And she goes, "And last winter, he drank a bottle of bleach." Oh my God. Oh my God. That is beyond horrific. I'm so glad he's okay. I mean, I don't know. That's got to destroy. But Myra's like, "He's doing so well, Meredith." And Meredith smiles, and she goes, "He does seem like he's doing great. But the question is he getting better expression where he really is?" And Myra's like, "That's the amazing thing, Mayor. He told his therapist when he's been triggered. That's incredible." And Meredith is like, "Yeah, that's what you need." And Myra's like, "He's so excited to help others because he's like coming around, and now he's on the other side of it. And to give this event is special because it's you doing it. So me, Alex, anyone involved in this, we want positivity. You have to really think it through, Meredith. Who do you want at our positive event, you know? And this is like, well, it's very funny because you're just trying to like, well, no one on the show, if this is a real event for mental health, we want nobody from the show. In fact, I would be like, cut, we're gonna just do this off camera because this is about Alex, who's had some unfortunate incidents, and we're going to treat this very seriously and not even have an event to film where somebody could potentially get into a fight, because that's just horrific and not what I think these shows should be about when it comes to mental health. That's just my opinion. I just don't think that would be funny in any sort of way. Not that these fights are funny, but sometimes they kind of are. But Meredith's like, it's a wild card with a lot of women here. And Myra's like, they have not been good to you, Meredith. And Meredith is like, it's not just Lisa right now. We get to Arizona and Whitney has this meltdown. It's like, we have to all tell Lisa we're talking about her. And so now fast forward back to today. Now she apparently continued to insist to Lisa that I'm the one who started these rumors, to the point where John said something to Seth about it. Meredith, you did start the rumors. And also, we go from a kid drinking bleach to this bullshit. Who cares? Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? Honestly, care about that kid up with his unkie right now. And Meredith is like, we see this flashback to Seth and Meredith in the car at night, and Seth's like telling her this, and Meredith is like, wow. And Seth's like, he said she was really hurt that Meredith wasn't there for Lisa when she needed her friend. And Meredith is like, how was I not there listening to her for 3 hours a day on the phone? And Seth's like, he said Meredith accused Lisa of having an affair on the girls' trip. I did not accuse that. I did not accuse that, Seth. Whitney did, and that actually really pisses me off. Her voice is very grating in this flashback. And Myra's like, you certainly don't need to deal with that, Meredith. No one deserves that. That's not a friend. New scene, we're in a car. We see black shoes with these like weird green Heelys on them, and it's Heather popping out of a car for her first choir rehearsal. And she's like, sexy place for our first rehearsal. Already that choir's giving me bad vibes. We don't need a sexy place for a choir rehearsal. And the guys goes, okay, the muscle is here, as Heather Gay walks in. Everybody just call Heather Gay the muscle? Like, is she the one that makes shit goes down? In a talking head, she's like, I can't believe our first choir rehearsal is here. Corey, of course, is the big burly choir director. And Heather's like, auditions had some highs and some lows. And we see Jen fighting outside. But I want to create a safe space of renewal and spiritual centeredness through music, and hope my friends don't mess it up. That's all you can hope with a show choir, really, And Heather hits a note in this. She's like, ah, and you realize that Heather can't sing. And I was like, well, why? That's wild. Heather wanted to start this choir, and she is not a strong singer. We cut to Lisa, Jen Shaw with her huge bullhorn coming out of her house. Angie K is picking her up. They do the you look beautiful, you look beautiful. And Jen's like, thanks for picking me up, mama. And Angie K's like, did I tell you I went skiing with Lisa and Jen Shaw goes, did I tell you I went skiing with Lisa and Whitney? And Angie's like, how was that? And she's like, it's good. Whitney and Lisa talked about making the choir. And Angie says, have you talked to Heather? And Jen's like, it's awkward with Heather. She doesn't see a problem with what Angie and her husband did with that Instagram account. And you cannot say you're my ride or die and then not say something to them. And that is just not something that we do. And they pass a church during this drive, and they both make the sign of a cross, which is very interesting. Also, Jen's obsession with the phrase ride or die makes me want to die. Like, I'm just like, you should be fine. That should be added on to any sentence. The more you say ride or die, let's just call it friends. Like, let's just like, hey, I hope you're my friend. But anyways, in a talking head, Jen's like, I'm confused. I would have cussed out Angie and Chris Harrington on behalf of Heather if it was if they were in the wrong, and I would make them apologize, and I want Heather to have my back and do the right thing. And Angie says, there are a few things we have to talk about, because Meredith invited me to a spin class last week, and Dana was there and brought up the situation at choir auditions. And, she said, what was all that bullying that Jen was doing to Angie? I love when they talk about, and you're like, oh, we're about to get a flashback of a spin class. Because they're like, well, let me tell you something that I went to last week. And of course, we flash back to that spin class. And Dana saying, you know what? No one puts Jen Shaw's ass in check when she fully steps out of line. She's a bully. And I'm like, fuck yeah, finally somebody's, thank you, Dana. And Jen is in the car hearing this and she loses it. She's like, she said bullying? She said bullying. She did what? Angie, what? She's freaking out. And a talking head, Jen's like, fuck Dana. What in what world am I a bully? And we all just pause to laugh. And bully Angie H and her fat fucking husband set up Shaw Exposed. They're the bullies. What you're not going to do is label me without having a one-on-one, without talking to me. And Angie says, well, you have to be careful being around people who don't have your back. Once again, no shit. Like, come on, let's get better dialogue than this. A new scene, Angie H walks into choir. Whitney comes in. Heather's thrilled that Whitney is there because the last time they saw each other, Heather was literally like picking her up like a rag doll and putting her out of her house. And a talking head, she's like, I'm thrilled Whitney came, you know, so Heather immediately hugs Whitney and is like, oh my God, yay. And Heather says, if we have, you know, this experience today, it'll be a deposit in our emotional friendship bank account. And I'm like, once again, we're just using flower like emotional bank accounts. Like, does Wells Fargo order that? Emotional bank accounts? And Angie H says, when they let you in, I said, you're letting anyone in? Because they're talking about everybody getting in the choir. And I'm like, Angie, too soon. Maybe let's not make any kind of jokes at other people's expense until you're in the clear completely. Whitney and I talking, that goes, I have to show up and support Heather. We are literally singing Mormon hymns. Just the other week, she was watching me sign papers showing that I wanted to get out of the Mormon church. If that doesn't show commitment, I don't know what does. And Heather says, okay, we're all here based on our love for singing. And the choir director he's like, okay, bring them in, you guys. Let's bring some chairs around. Jen Shaw and Angie K walk in. They look completely ridiculous. Lisa Barlow walks in and Heather goes, oh, it means a lot to me you're here. And so Lisa goes, it's true. The Heather and Lisa, like, it's like our relationship. It's like, it's just a band-aid, no sutures. It can rip off again, you know. In the 10 Commandments, there's one that says, you know, thou shalt not lie. And maybe singing hymns will remind Heather. What a slam. Like, I love that Lisa's there to remind Heather potentially through song that she's a liar. Meredith, we find out, is not going to be there because of her family event, and she's going to be costume consultant for the choir, which I think would be hysterical if Meredith dresses them like Jesus Christ Superstar or something. Jen in the talking head says, I have issues with Angie H, but not talking is productive. And I'm glad Dana Banana isn't coming today. I don't need auditions part 2 with her. Corey goes, okay, some of us have been in choir since the 5th grade. I've been in choir since the 5th grade. I've been a choir director at middle school, you know, choir for 20 years, choir, you know, church music. Maybe you don't go to church anymore and you want to make music and worship in a way that means something to you. And Heather's like, yes, Queen, yes. And then Corey's like, okay, everyone on their feet, stand up. And Lisa hugs Heather and goes, we have to talk. And Heather in a talking head goes, I hate her. I don't know, man. Like, this is where Heather is starting to lose me this season overall. I think, you know, because Heather's a fan of the Housewives, and I think that is potentially disastrous for people because she's trying to stay out of conflict that she actually knows information about, and she truly doesn't like Lisa Barlow, and she truly doesn't like, and then like she'll say these kind of petty talking head things when Lisa's actually throwing herself in these scenes. Heather is like saying like, this right here, this choir is like bigger than us, you know. And Lisa's like, I'm working on a friendship, like I'm putting in the work here, Heather. And Corey, we hear, is like, okay, everybody, let's put your lips together. And during this whole warm-up, it's funny, the Lisa Heather like conversation fight continues, and Lisa's like, that's why I went into auditions, Heather, to support you. And then Heather Because Heather like says like, well, actions speak louder than words, Lisa. And then there's just silence because the choir has stopped. And then they go, and Lisa's like, I don't want to be in the space of anger and contention. Why would you take, oh, sorry, this is actually, this is Heather. Heather's like, I don't want to be in a space of anger and contention. Why would you take commenting, sensitive things about my dad and sending text messages over Twitter while he was dying if you didn't want to go backwards? And Lisa goes, you have to see my side. My character was being denigrated because you told a lie. And I was like, I have to clear my name. And I even second guessed myself. Like, was I a shitty person? And Heather says, yeah, you were. And Heather in a talking head says, hey, Lisa, you're an empath, right? Well, put the facts aside and focus on my feelings, because my feelings are hurt. And as an empath, you should feel that. And Lisa goes, do you like me? Yes or no question. Yes or no. Do you like me? And then we cut to God be with you, meet again. And Lisa's like, yes or no. And Lisa says, if you're saying you're my friend, your actions are showing me otherwise. Heather says, I've always wanted to be good to you, but you don't own your space. If you want to start from ground zero and be my friend. And Lisa says, but you like, and Heather's like, oh my God, are you for real? And Lisa's like, stop for a second. Let's talk through this. And Angie H pulls Jen aside, and I was just like, bad move, Angie. Angie H pulls Jen aside and goes, you're a casualty in this war. And for that, we're both sorry. We're talking about the Jen Shaw exposed because Angie H and Chris really, truly hate Lisa Barlow. And Jen says, well, it affects my credibility. And I told Sharif, I told Sharif, and he said, if Angie and Chris, they apologize publicly, then you can be forgiven. And once again, I'm just like, this is wild that Jen and Sharif get to call the shots when we still haven't heard, I think, an actual apology from Jen from what she's done. Angie says, okay, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. First off, I would hate if I was Chris, of like Angie comes home, is like, hey, coach says you got to apologize. I said, yeah, for you. Jen in the talking head goes, I don't like living in this space right now. And if Chris can do this, we can move on, me and coach. And Lisa says, we are both in Arizona. A lot of lies being said about me. This is the Heather conversation. And it was hurtful to me and my husband. And Heather goes, I have not been part of those conversations or corroborated them in any way. And Lisa goes, Whitney has been ever so consistent, and you guys are all a part of that. And Heather's like, that's crazy, man. And Lisa's like, why would she make that up? She's right over there. Let's bring her over. Whitney, come here. And Whitney's like, oh God. And she comes over, and Lisa's like, if you hear them or not, these rumors. And Heather says, Whitney recanted the rumors. And Whitney's like, no, I did not. I said either Heather conveniently forgets or has forgotten. Clearly, you don't remember purposely, or don't remember, or it's so. And Heather's like, how do I fix it then, you guys? How do I fix it? Because basically what Whitney is saying is that you're conveniently not remembering, or you genuinely don't remember, and you've got sundowners. And Lisa's like, when you called Heather, you acted like you didn't remember. And that we flash back to Heather calling and not remembering this thing. And Lisa says, the fact she can't remember is a Heather problem, not a me problem. And Whitney goes, you asked me to choir after you pushed me out of your house. And we see the flashback to FaceTiming Heather to Whitney, where Whitney's like, you pushed me out of your house. And Heather's like, oh my God, I completely forgot about that. I am starting to worry about Heather's mental stability. And Whitney goes, I'm friends with Lisa. And Heather says, yeah, great. Be friends with Lisa. And Whitney says, first time I'm not go along to get along, and I don't want this space anymore. And Heather says, it's an awkward space. It's gone. It's gone then. It's gone. And she just walks away. And Whitney in a talking head goes, when people start to show you who they are, you better believe them. I'm at this point of like, fuck you, Heather, after being shut down for the 100th time. And we get a flashback to Heather going, fuck you, I didn't say that, in Arizona. And then the time again, like all the times of Heather just leaving. And Whitney and I talking head goes, I'm done. And Corey's like, okay, choir, we all have this group together. And Angie K goes, the music will heal. What a weird, Angie K is a true blue weirdo. And they're like, God be with you till we meet again. By his counsel, let him hold till we meet him again. This scene is fake as fuck in so many ways. And they try to do this clever device of like putting the choir throughout. And I think it was completely offensive because I thought they made these ladies have some real conversations and they tried to cleverly edit like with the choir to make it funny. And I just found it very clunky. Like I have felt this entire episode has been. They finish and everyone claps, a new scene. And we open with Meredith putting out a charcuterie board of cheese and crackers. And she gets the door. She's like, what's up, girl? What's up, girl? You look beautiful. And Dana's there. And Meredith, by the way, goes, do you want a drink? And she goes, sure, sure. Meredith's fridge opens and it is filled with every premium beverage I've ever seen. Like you got sodas in there, you got fancy waters in there. Did you see the inside of this fridge? There's no food. There's just all sorts of, I used to dream about a family that had every sort of liquid in their fridge. Like, could you imagine? Like, this fridge is the fridge of dreams. And she's like, what are you even doing, girl? And Dana's like, showing houses, you know, picking up kids. And I'm going to do a date night. And Meredith goes, I like Dana in a talking head. It's nice to have some time to explore new relationships with people that are kind and caring. No toxic people. And Meredith's like, what are you going to do for date night? She's like, I don't know, maybe a movie. And she's like, Seth and I have had ups and downs. And Dana says, we fight and we love hard. You have to fight for each other. You just have to do it. And Meredith is like, yep, that's right for dang sure. Fight for Unky. And we cut to a pool where Jen Shaw and Angie K are getting in. And I'm like, what kind of weather is Utah like where we have had 2 pool scenes, but also these like really intense skiing scenes? Jen comes in looking like Versace just shit all over her. And I just don't know why they're in a pool. Jen cracks open a White Claw and she's like, the water is perfect. And Jen goes, do you need me to hype you up, girl? And Angie goes, I'm ready for this trip. Jen in a talking head goes, I'm ready for a turn up vacation, a real turn up, a real Shaw Squad heads up. And we get a flashback to Angie telling Jen, yo, I have a friend with a house in San Diego. And of course, we know that San Diego means a whale's vagina. So Jen's like, woo, San Diego. Of course, remember, Jen can't leave the country. So we're doing these kind of trips to Arizona, San Diego, places that are close that you can't run. And Jen goes, I don't want any more healing trips. I want to be on a glam trip, keep it cute, keep it right on the surface, which is kind of how Jen seems to be participating in these seasons. Kind of keeps it right on the surface, doesn't really deal with her bullshit. Angie says, for all they know, we're in Hawaii taking pics at this pool. And I'm like, let's not encourage any more lies out of Jen. Angie at this point FaceTimes Meredith to invite her to San Diego because what a time. Of course you naturally would do this when Dana's over there. And Meredith goes, look who I have here. And we see that they see that Dana's there. And Jen's like, what the fuck? And Meredith's like, who's going to this party? And Angie's like, you, Heather, Whitney, Lisa, Jen Shaw, and Angie K. And Jen goes, I would invite you, Dana, but I heard you were talking shit, girl. And Meredith says, okay, wait, Jen, I think you and Dana have some miscommunication. And Jen goes, don't call me a bully, because that's not what happened, which is usually the first thing a bully ever says. And Dana says, I don't tolerate stuff like that. And Jen just literally loses her shit. She's like, Dana, we're done. Meredith, call you back, baby. And Jen literally gets up and just gets out of the pool and walks her ass off. And she's like, you're not going to perpetuate this. And it just shows that Jen cannot take any sort of heat at all. If the spotlight is shown on Jen Shaw in some kind of fun, positive way, like spending money, like that trip in Vegas when she brought Heather Gay all those clothes, remember they picked out all those clothes and got Heather all suited up. But if you question Jen, it's done. Anyways, that is the end of this episode. So, and then we have the second half of the season coming up. So this was episode 8. I'm guessing we're getting a 15 episode season, what I'm guessing. So we are over halfway through, you guys. But thank you so much. If you like this, YouTube, subscribe, do all that crap that YouTubers say that you're supposed to do. And we will see you every day on So Bad It's Good. Thanks, guys. Bye.